1 mile run to keep the running streak alive, proof right here. And that extends the streak to 130 days in a row in which I have run at least 1 mile. Most days I run more than 1 mile, but I just finished the Counter Club Challenge, so this week I'll be running 1 to 3 miles every single day, and then next week I'll be ramping the miles back up. And before the run, I did some pull-ups as well. Ended up doing 5 sets of 20, 1 set of 19 because I miscounted on one of the sets of 20, 1 set of 1, followed by 5 sets of 12. And my pull-up strength is coming back super quickly. A couple days ago, I was doing sets of 15, and those sets of 15 were harder than today's sets of 20 and 19. So I know that my pull-up strength is coming back. I'm excited to see where I'll be at in the coming days. I think it'll take me a week or two for me to get back into full pull-up mode. Before the Counter Club Challenge, my one hang max was, I think, around 36. So I'm excited to try again in the coming weeks of my one hang pull. Plus, I'm also super excited to do a few time trials. I want to do a time trial for the 1 mile, for the 5K, and then also maybe even a half marathon. I feel like the July Counter Club Challenge was a good training block, so I want to see how that training block carried over to my current level of fitness. Let's get to some questions. First question comes from Noah. He asks, do you get sore? And he also mentions that he has sore IT bands from his runs, and he asks, should he run through the soreness and push through the pain? So for me personally, I typically don't get sore in terms of my regular exercise that I do. So pull-ups, powerlifting, squat, bench, dead, and also running. There are only a few instances where I do get sore. Instance number 1, I take a layoff from one of those activities, 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then I come back and then I'll do that exercise, then I'll be a little sore. For example, pull-ups. It's been about 3 or so weeks since I've done pull-ups because of the Counter Club Challenge, though this week I started doing pull-ups again and I am definitely a little sore. Though I will say this, when I am consistently doing a certain exercise, for example pull-ups, and I'm doing it 3-4 times a week or even 2 to 3 times a week, I am not sore for that exercise. So before the Counter Club Challenge, I was doing pull-ups pretty much every single day. I'd be doing 100 a day at least, sometimes 150 and 200, and I was really never sore. Instance number 2, if I introduce a new activity or way of movement that my body isn't used to, I will most likely be sore in the days to come. With the exercises that I listed before, I've been doing those for months and months and even years that my body and my muscles have been acclimated to that type of movement. Once you introduce something new that your body isn't used to, you'll be using a little bit different muscles, and therefore your body has to adjust, and therefore you'll be sore. So with your IT band being sore, it sounds like this is what it is, just because your body isn't used to all this running that you're doing now. Instance number 3 in which I'll be sore, if I give max effort or if I increase the volume way too fast. In terms of max effort, anytime I do a 1 rep max or a max effort on a certain exercise, I'll definitely be sore, just because you're redlining, you're using every inch of your body, every inch of your muscles. So for me, I'm most likely sore when I do that. When I do a time trial, even if it's just for a mile, I am super sore the next day. Whenever I do a one hang max pull-up, I'm always sore the next day. In terms of volume, if I increase the volume for a certain exercise too quickly and don't give my body the time to adjust to that volume, I'll definitely be sore. For example, if I'm used to doing 200 pull-ups every single day and I do 220 the next day or 225 or even 250, I most likely won't be sore. But if I increase it by 100% or 200% or 300% or whatever it is, then I'll most likely be sore. If I jump from what my body's used to, 200 pull-ups, to 400 pull-ups or 600 pull-ups or 800 pull-ups, then I'll also be sore. In terms of if I think that you should run through the soreness and push through the pain, I think these are two different conversations. Pain, I would definitely not run through. When I think of pain, I think of an injury coming on, I think of broken bones, I think of a pulled muscle. If you decide to work through pain, you are way more likely to really get injured for the long run. And soreness, in my opinion, I think that you can work through soreness. I run through soreness, I work out through soreness, but you really have to differentiate between the two. Sam asks, do you like to listen to podcasts when you run? She also mentions that when she's on a run and trying to listen to a podcast, she can't really concentrate on the podcast. For me personally, I like to listen to a podcast on a longer run, so anything that's 10 plus miles, just because when I'm on those longer runs, I am going at a more chill pace, I am more relaxed, and I can actually focus on what's being said on the podcast. Whereas if I go on a shorter run, 5-6 miles or less, I tend to want to go a little bit faster, and same thing, it's hard for me to concentrate on what's being said if I am picking up the pace and going at that faster speed. So for me, I like to listen to music, especially EDM, rap, hip-hop, K-pop, you name it, something to me up so that I can run a little bit faster. Aaron from Phillip has a question on what shoes were banned in official races. I believe the shoes that you're referring to is the Nike Alphafly. And the Nike Alphafly are the prototype shoes that Eliud Kipchoge wore in his sub 2-hour marathon. And I actually found an article, I'm gonna link it in the description below, but basically what the article says is that they put out rules, and these rules actually might already be in place because the article is a little outdated, but they put out rules to define what is legal and what is illegal in terms of shoes to be worn in official marathons. The article goes into that these shoes need to be on the market, sold to the public for at least 4 months, just because with these prototype shoes, they're only given to a select few people, so it's kind of a little unfair if they're only given to a select few people and no one else has access. Also, it goes into the dynamics of the shoe. It can only have a certain number of millimeter in terms of the sole, and it can only have a certain number of plates in terms of the shoe. Achilles Financial asks, ever consider a weightlifting challenge, something like a bench or a squat? I'm not really interested in a bench or squat competition, but definitely a deadlifting competition. So this morning, I was on a Zoom call with my homie, Kevin. If you've been following my channel for a bit, then you probably already know him. And we are working on a collab together. That's why we were talking this morning. And one of the many things that we talked about was surrounding yourself with the right people. Specifically, how to extend that hand so that you can get to meet new people, so that you can surround yourself with the right people. So here is a short clip of that conversation.
You meet a lot of cool people with a lot of cool skills. But importantly, this is like people that I think would, not that I'm like, oh, I just want to be friends with you because I think you're going to make it, but like it's cool to be around people that have either made it in a certain industry or like I could see you going far in your life. And it's like you would be a cool person to know in 10 years.
And this conversation between Kevin and I really just made me think. And this conversation was also in the context of the small YouTuber community. And in particular, it made me think of who I want to surround myself with. And how do I surround myself with them? And also, for me to be the person to surround other people with that they say, oh, Vince, he's a badass. He's cool. And he's going to take me to the next level. And it's not to say that these are the only people that I want to hang out with, but if I'm being honest, I want to hang out with badasses. I want to hang out with rock stars. I want to hang out with people who are at the top of the game, people who are going to take me to the next level, and just good, genuine people. People like Dimitri, people like Kevin, people like Aaron from FitLab, people like Francis Floyd. There's this whole community of awesome people that are really cool, and they're pretty successful or will be successful, at least in my opinion. And this just has me thinking because I started reaching out to Kevin, I reached out to Dimitri, Aaron from FitLab. I talked to him like a few times a week, text. We've had a call, Zoom call, and I'm just getting to know these super cool people. And I think that this whole small YouTuber community, it's an amazing community, and it's made me think about not necessarily taking advantage, but to not squander the opportunity to network. Because, yes, we're all small YouTubers, but we also have a life outside YouTube. If I want to get better in a certain area, let's say videography or photography, I can ask Kevin. If I have running questions, I can ask Dimitri. If I have real estate questions, I can ask Aaron, who was a very successful real estate agent. And just networking in general, meeting cool people, and thinking through the last few months, looking back on it, I'm like, wow, I've really surrounded myself with some badass people. Some people that I feel are going to be successful or are successful or has a certain characteristic about them that I admire, that I want to emulate, that I want to be more like them. And it's just really made me think of making sure that I take full advantage of this opportunity to network with high-level people. And I also want to be a person that, to all these people that I mentioned and to anyone else, for you to say, yo, Vince, he's cool. I like that guy. He's a killer. He's a badass. He's on top of his game, or I see a lot of potential in him. And I want to be that person too. And these are just random thoughts that I've been thinking about. And I also think that you can't be afraid to reach out, to take that first step, to DM somebody. Because I also believe that if you come from a good place, there's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, for me, I'm not really afraid of messaging anyone. If I admire your work, if I admire your work ethic, if I think that we should collab, I'll DM you. I mean, if I haven't DM'd you, it doesn't mean that I don't want to collab. But don't be afraid to reach out to that person to say, hey, well, what's your input on this? Or like, hey, would you mind getting on a Zoom call? Or actually, you should probably build up to that Zoom call before, but you would be surprised at how nice people are. Because I know when people reach out to me, I'm like, yeah, I'll give you all the information that I have. I will spare nothing. Whatever you want to know, small YouTuber stuff, fitness stuff, running stuff, whatever it is, I'll give it to you. And people are just really nice. So at the same time, you can't be afraid. So, message of the day. Network, 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 especially in the small YouTuber community. So thanks for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed that video. Let me know down in the comments if you have any additional questions for me. Would love to hear from y'all. Please give this video a thumbs up. It'd really help me out. If you want to catch another one of my videos, there's a video right here. There's a video right here. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button right here. See you all tomorrow.